Hello my friends and welcome back to Inner Sphere Wars. This is the third part of the three-part Free Worlds League attack on the Lyrian Commonwealth. We're back in the hot seat with COD, and he is facing off against Grayson, who is the leader of the Free Worlds League. So obviously this battle matters a lot because it's 1-1, both sides have taken some pretty significant mech losses here, and I think both sides will be looking to get something out of this. So they want to win this. Evidently, the Lyrian Commonwealth have got a lot more to lose than to gain here, since this is a defense for them. So on this map, you have an island which has a broad range of favourable terrain, forest, high ground, LOS blocking areas, etc. And then surrounding that island is water.
Roger that.
And as I was saying in the first match, water is very useful for a number of stock mechs because they run hot. And so there is a potential large DPS increase to be had from being in the water. But also the water slows down your movement quite dramatically. So if you're not jump capable, then the water can be broadly a bad plan to be in because your defensive bonus will be very low. Now it seems to be the case here that some very heavy metal has been deployed, and the vast majority of these mechs are jump capable. So I'm going to see if COD lives up to his name here and becomes the fish in the water, as it were.
Moving out.
Interestingly, he has an Orion deployed here as well, but the Orion is not jump capable, so it will remain to be seen as to whether this lack of jump jets makes the Orion the weak link in the assault here. So you can see that the jump jet Lance has managed to maintain 5 evasion pips and almost full defense while advancing, but the Orion is languishing on 2 pips because it doesn't have jump jets, and even sprinting through water is not conducive to maintaining a high evasion. Even if you have a very fast mech, it still really drags you right down. You know, most lights will struggle. Okay. So there's a second island here, as you can see, and it looks like Grayson has decided that he will not contest the main island, but has gone for the second island, which is a bit more exposed and a bit flatter and has a bit less LOS blocking areas to really play with. I'm not sure how I feel about COD's decision here to move this Orion forward onto the rough terrain here, but then again, I don't think there's much else he can do with it. I suppose my question would be if Grayson could get a focus fire on it. I don't know what Grayson's deployed. I'm just thinking out loud here that if he had a lot of LRM boats and a sensor locker, or just brought a mech forward, he could see that Orion and then unleash LRM hell on it, and because it's on the unstable terrain with only 2 evasion tokens, it would only take perhaps a few LRM 20s, 2 or 3, to put that Orion on its ass, and that would be a bad start for the Orion. Okay, sensor lock here has gone for the hatchet man on the front line here. Now you see, that's funny because that is the move that I was concerned about, but that's not actually the ideal target for it. And he will obviously move now.
Time to fly. Hostile on sensor.
I was thinking if he could have moved forward and spotted the Orion, that could have potentially been a better target. But that said, that holds vulnerabilities in its own right, so we'll have to see. Everything to play for at the moment. I like COD's position more. I think this island that he's on is actually better. He's got a broad
I've been sensor locked.
swathe of LOS blocking terrain with which to play.
Up high.
I guess my question would be, what are the other mechs that Grayson's deployed? And if he is running a mostly long-range lance, then maybe he can basically forcibly draw COD forward into the water and forward to try and close in. If he can just sit back and just bomb... Oh yeah, well there's a stalker. If he can sit back and just bomb COD, COD's gonna feel the pressure to move forward and get close.
That hit hard.
Because nothing COD's got is particularly long range in my opinion. Two grasshoppers, absolutely brawling mechs in my opinion.
Here we go.
The Hatchet Man is blatantly a brawler. And the Orion is like
Commander.
a multi-role mech. It's got functionality in all areas. Still, probably would prefer to be at medium to short range with it though. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Grayson being this far forward actually. I think he should be further back into the trees. He evidently has the long range advantage. So I would feel like if I was playing as Grayson right now, my strategy would be to hide behind the rocks in the trees and just indirectly find a target to pick on. And I would squirrel that grasshopper away for when COD decides to close in and attempt to make a brawl of it. Which I think COD would win the brawl. Between a pair of grasshoppers and an Orion, I think at short range, that's a lot of firepower to deal with, especially when there's so much water around for the grasshoppers to cool down and to jump constantly. Alright, the Hatchet Man's being locked here repeatedly. I'm not sure how much this can be followed up on, because obviously as soon as it's the next phase, COD is going to move that Hatchet Man immediately. Then again, the Hatchet Man's AC-10 ammunition is primed to explode, so he probably doesn't have much choice but to withdraw. Okay, this is the Hatchet. This is the new Hatchet Man, not the old one. But it's got just as much combustible ammunition in it. So this is the glorious new variant of the Hatchet Man, which has got machine guns and SRM6s in it. Just reiterating, I don't know the loadouts or models of the mechs, or the result or anything like that. I'm just casting off of the information I'm gathering along with you guys. It's interesting. It's actually sort of challenges me as well. It's very interesting for me to try and work out how the battle is going to ebb and flow, simply based on what I can see from one perspective, with not all the information. Obviously, if I had, if there was observing, then I could see everything. You could see everything. We could better sort of, we could be more accurate with what we think people are going to do or what their strategy will be. But that said, I like to predict, and it's even better when I'm right. So.
What are your orders?
To me, it is very clear from this developing fight that COD has the short range advantage and Grayson has the long range advantage. And Grayson really wants to be falling back, and just bombing
Accuracy, true volume of 5.
bombing COD. This Stalker is so exposed.
Commander?
And grasshoppers in the water are going to be just nasty. An interesting decision here to take the high ground and not the water. I would have thought over the long term that the heat situation would be the heat situation would be more important over long term. Oh wow, Grayson hasn't played since the bulwark change. So bulwark only works when you're braced or in cover. So
Standing by.
that's bad. So that's why that Stalker is so exposed. I guess he was expecting a 50% reduction for being there.
Order confirmed. Confirmed.
The Stalker is going to die, I reckon. Because it's going to be all the way till the next assault phase before it can move. And these Grasshoppers and Orion are all heavies, so they will all get their turn again. So this Stalker has been expertly double turned here. I don't think Grayson has any way of preventing this Stalker from being taken down. I think it's going to be pretty easy for COD to use all of his moves on that Stalker before it gets a turn. Okay, so we've got a Trebuchet.
They've got a lock on me.
Going for a sensor lock on the Grasshopper. I would think that Grayson could jump forward with his Grasshopper. It's a pair of Trebuchets, okay. So that's where the long range power is coming from. I was thinking that Grayson might be able to jump forward here and put some real hurt on this Grasshopper.
I'm under heavy fire.
But it's going to be the first thing that COD moves, and he's got the first go advantage. So
Reading you.
he will not be able to follow up with his own Grasshopper here.
Ten four. Copy that.
Oh, it's going up, I think. No? Okay, that was lucky. That ammunition on that side is exposed, so the Stalker is in very real peril here of losing a whole side. Okay, he's jumped forwards. Oh man, that's a lot of damage.
I'm losing armor bad.
Awaiting orders.
Still, I don't feel like if Grayson gets the Grasshopper, I don't feel like a Grasshopper for the Stalker is a good exchange.
On my way.
The Stalker has a lot of firepower, like a whole lot. And not the hugest amount of armor. Nasty.
Skipper.
So now half of that firepower is gone. And I think COD will push the issue here and put an end to it. I like that position,
Roger
personally.
that, Commander.
5 evasion tokens.
Engaging target.
I think that's the stalker done.
Reporting. Critical hit.
Ooh, 2 HP. But the Orion should be able to finish it. Oh no, he hasn't got the Orion available. It's only the Hatchet Man. Ah, good kill. Totally exposed.
Enemy down.
Grayson's obviously misunderstanding about how Bulwark works did not help him here. Now the problem is that this has become a brawl, and we're still looking at 2 ostensibly long-range mechs supported by 1 brawler. Now we have a trebuchet here that evidently has Master Tactician and is going in the light phase. And I mean, just from my perspective, I would think that in a lance that consists of 2 mediums and a heavy and an assault, I would perhaps want to put the pilot that has Master Tactician, even though I believe they have quite poor gunnery, in the Stalker and push it into the heavy phase. Because part of what allowed the Stalker to be ganged down in a massive double turn was the fact that it was in the assault phase, and had it been in the heavy phase, it could have been retreated and defended, and it'd probably still be alive right now. That's just a thought on setup. I believe that the guys in Innisphere Wars are allowed to choose whatever pilots they wish, and fit them however they like. It's only the mechs that are counted. So once again, COD is yielding here, reserving. It will make a huge difference, the fact that he always goes first in any given turn where both of them have units, because it will allow him to move. This grasshopper will be able to be moved
I'm hit.
before Grayson's grasshopper is allowed to attack.
Yes, Commander.
And this occurred in previous turns as well, where this grasshopper of Grayson was in an ideal position to follow up on an exposed unit, but could not, because COD always goes first in the combat when the enemies are when they both have units in the same phase. I believe who hosts the game is actually decided by dice roll, so this is a or it might be that the defender gets to host. It's one of those two, or sometimes maybe one or the other. So that's actually somewhat critical advantage at times that is bestowed upon the defender or the host. How it actually works is when you detect the enemy in your sensor range and you're the first person to do that, then you get to go first in any phase. However, if both of you detect each other on the same turn, effectively the same turn, then the host will go first. So just a little bit of advantage there that is bestowed upon the host, which can really matter in a fight like this. So that's why they roll for it, I believe. sometimes it's an advantage to not go first. If you're actually trying to make the other person take their moves, so that you can get the last 2 shots in. So if both players reserve to the assault phase, say, you might want the other person to go first, because when they move that first unit, you can then follow up with all 4 of your units on that target, knowing that they've had their turn and they can't move. So there are situations where it's actually better to be the person going second in any phase rather than the person going first in any phase. So it's not black and white as to it always being a big advantage to go first in any particular phase. So I don't want to make out like that's always an advantage, because it might not be,
Aye, aye.
depending on your strategy. So following into the fight here, if Grayson can shut down this grasshopper, the injured one,
We'll go.
and then sort of focus down the second one, then he might be in a position to make this fight long range again. And the thing is here, the effective range of the Orion and the effective range of the Hatchet Man is quite short. And they're not really as close to the front line as perhaps they should be right this minute. So if Grayson can get control of these 2 grasshoppers, then he might be able to get some real work done. So if he jumps behind this cliff here, behind these rocks into the water, he might be in a position to LOS block all of COD's units except the crippled grasshopper, and then pick that one off. Of course, the fact that these grasshoppers have got 4 jump jets is giving them unparalleled ability to strike from any angle.
That hit something good.
So we'll have to see what happens here.
Waiting for orders. Time to fly.
The Hatchet Man's closing in. It's running very hot though.
Got it.
Okay. Not sure I 100% agree it's worth the trade-off to fire the
Getting pretty hot in here, Commander.
medium laser and take heat damage there. But you know, it works out either way. Is he not able to? I see. That's Cliff here. I'm potentially wondering that maybe it's not possible for Grayson to actually retreat into the water here. Maybe he's actually stuck on this island. He's actually trapped.
Commander?
So you see, in this phase, COD gets to go first. And he'll get to go first in the next phase too. He'll get to go first in every phase where they share.
Roger that.
And that's really going to help him here, put the hurt on this trebuchet before it can be moved.
Critical hit, Commander. My heat's getting pretty high.
Although, he did not manage to detonate it. Ooh! Well, that was lucky. Yeah, I think Grayson is trapped on this island. I don't think it's actually possible to get down from that area into the water without jump jets. So now we're looking at a couple of long-range mechs trapped, literally trapped in a brawl here and unable to break LOS so that they can engage in indirect fire and protect themselves, because trebuchets are not heavily armoured.
My mech is coming apart around me.
Now, one thing that Grayson can do here is he can just jump his grasshopper into the water on the crippled side of the grasshopper and focus fire it into its CT.
I'm here.
Might result in its death. But COD here gets to go first in this phase, so he's gonna obviously immediately move it.
Taking the shot. Reporting critical hit.
Ouch. So that trebuchet is now disabled, effectively. The damaged grasshopper is still very dangerous. So you can see here, look, he is going for that strategy. But it would have worked a bit better had he gotten the drop on the grasshopper, because he could have gone up to the top corner, which is sort of a more defensive position. Unfortunately, despite the rear angle, he didn't really get any important damage there.
Roger that, Commander.
Now, I wonder if COD will switch targets here to the trebuchet that's... Nope. I don't know, I personally would start switching targets here to the other trebuchet, because it quite clearly has...
Commander?
It has no weapons, and it has no jump jets, so it's honestly not a threat.
Moving to position.
There is a certain bloodlust that comes with finishing off a crippled enemy unit, but if it's of no threat, you probably want to start getting to work on ones that are. Ah, it's a miss. I don't think he can even run forward and melee through those trees. It's not got a huge amount of movement. Obviously, there's every incentive here for COD to keep the grasshopper alive because of the Inner Sphere Wars sim game, so he will want to take as few losses here as possible. But generally speaking, the losing player will be wiped out, so you don't really have to force the issue of killing the trebuchet just yet. Okay, so that's the trebuchet that's not damaged. Meleeing here.
Good to go. Affirmative.
I think, honestly, if he overheats to kill this guy... No, he's not going to.
Affirmative.
That's probably more damage than this trebuchet would actually be able to get.
That's a kill.
Okay. So I think it's clean up here for COD. The question will be, can he keep that grasshopper alive? That represents a significant investment for the Lyrian Commonwealth, and he won't want to lose it. But he's going to. Oh, there's a scream.
Confirmed.
Although, it was killed via the CT, so I'm not sure that the pilot would have died there, but you know, whatever.
10-4.
Oof, that's some damage.
Reporting. Critical hit.
If the hatchet man is able to jump behind that trebuchet and get its machine guns in the back, then
Yes, Commander.
I'm pretty sure that there will be some LRM explosions.
Confirmed.
The Orion here is actually almost LOS blocked itself here. Unfortunately, Grayson's loss of the Stalker early on really... I mean, he had a lot of firepower in that basket. And that really put the hurt on his ability to engage here. So I would presume that COD will want to clean up here by just jumping behind the trebuchet and unloading into its back. And there's no way for the trebuchet to stop it because he's got jump jets, so that gives him the complete directional superiority that he needs to constantly put rear strikes into the trebuchet. Nice! That's actually a really good hit. Who knows, maybe Grayson can pick up the Hatchet Man here as well.
Commander?
And here you can see he has a rear shot available. I saw it. I'm not sure if that's a rear shot or a side shot here. Yeah, it's a rear one.
Right, Commander.
Boom.
Critical hit.
Yeah, I knew at least one side was going to go up when the Hatchet Man got behind. The Hatchet Man is at risk here, though. I would presume that what Grayson wants to do is jump his Grasshopper into the water behind and to the side of the Hatchet Man, and then just unload into the side of it. A little bit unfortunate that I feel like this match was decided by a critical misplay by Grayson right at the very beginning in regards to the Stalker. And I'm not 100% sure that this island was the right choice to actually be on, because he hasn't got jump jets and no way to get off it, so he couldn't retreat. A wholly long-range lance probably would like as much space as possible to keep those two grasshoppers at a safe distance, and this Hatchet Man. Oh, nasty.
Dang it, that hurt. Hey, I lost a weapon.
Damn, he went for a DFA. That's not what I would have done, but it's glorious. It's not what I would have done, but it's glorious. In reference to the charge of the Light Brigade. It's beautiful, but it's not war, I believe is the saying.
Keep an eye on my heat, Commander.
I think the Trebuchet will be an easy kill here for the Orion, as long as he can get his weapons to bear. Unfortunately, the lack of jump jets on the Orion is making it difficult for it to get that shot. You can see how the water really, really hampers non-jump jet capable mechs. That's a great kill.
Hostile eliminated.
Waiting for orders.
So what will happen here is, obviously, COD will go first in this phase because, obviously, the Hatchet Man is a medium. And he'll also go first in the next phase. Or not, or it'll swap over because he lost a mech. Okay, it's swapped over because he lost a mech. Which is another rule which I've never fully understood about PvP, is when it swaps over. It seems to happen when someone loses a mech. A lot of the time. He's going for the hatchet man because that's the only kill he can realistically get. Oh, nice. Oh god, those legs are ruined. I don't think it was necessary to do that. I think you probably could have killed him anyway with your weapons. As it stands, he's very vulnerable to being knocked over here. You'd be wise to switch your LRM-5 on, yeah. Because one missile hit is a knockover. Oh, he didn't get it though. That one non-move with the Stalker was really dumb. Even, yeah, Grayson is acknowledging exactly what I said, which is that that cost him the game, I think. And that's unfortunate.
Taking this up.
It could have been much closer.
Target's taking a critical hit.
Alright, he's down. Can COD capitalize and rip those legs off?
Commander?
Fair play to Grayson though, despite the fact that it didn't quite work out with the Stalker, he's still got 2 kills. So it's not like Steiner is walking away from this fight without losing some units. Oh, there goes one leg.
Reporting critical hit.
Now he's got to do is chop off the other one. And I think he will run all the weapons here to do that.
Copy that.
Look at that, he's even got a position so he can stick his feet in the drink. And that's a wrap. No, it's not.
Critical hit.
1 HP. 1 HP, but I don't think you're going to get anything more here, Grayson. I think you've picked off the units you're going to get. I'm not sure what the rules are on yielding, but I would probably just eject now, because I don't think any further damage can be inflicted on the enemy. No, it's the last.
Light damage. Holding firm.
The last rattle
Yes, Commander.
in the already dead snake.
On the move.
It's both brilliant and a shame. This fight was very good, despite the Stalker mistake at the beginning. And I think without that mistake, this could have been a very, very close battle.
Mission successful.
But that is what it is. So the Lyrian Commonwealth successfully defends, and the Free Worlds League are pushed back, but not without cost. Not without great cost, because during the course of these 3 battles, a great number of mechs were lost on both sides, and the loss of the Hatchet Man and one of the Grasshoppers obviously still hurts. Just unfortunate, the thing with the Stalker, really. Because it really could have turned around the whole course of the battle. Especially considering Stalker is probably the mech that you want to keep at the back or medium back, along with the trebuchets, maybe in between the trebuchets and the Grasshopper, which should be on the front line. I mean, it's an assault and the armor is good, but it's not fantastic armor, and it has very, very, very heavy firepower. So you really want to protect that firepower for as long as you can. And with all the water everywhere, there's a potential to run all that firepower over and over and over for many turns. The Stalker didn't really show its potential here, which is unfortunate. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the first in a 3-part series of Innisphere Wars, and when I get another one, when I get more of these in my inbox, then I will do them. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.